Hey, hello, and welcome or welcome back. And while we're on this Diablo kick, right? We're doing that Diablo-like series, and it's supposed to be like kind of like Diablo 2. Uh, I think one of the more underrated games in the Diablo series is Diablo 3, actually. I like Diablo 3 just as much, if not even maybe a little better than Diablo 2, or at least just as much and in different ways than Diablo 2. It's a really cool game. And specifically, I mean the console ports, like the Switch Diablo 3, where you're using a console and a controller. And I really like the movement. I like it a lot better than the click to move stuff in Diablo 2. And they do a really good job with the gamepad for that. And that's what we're going to recreate right now is the Diablo 3 console gamepad movement. All right. And if you want to follow along, all right, then you're going to want to open up a new Unity project. I'm using Unity 6, 6.0.40F1. This is a URP project, so you're going to want to make it URP if you're going to follow along, just so we're all on the same page here. And yeah, why don't I get into just showing you real quick what we're going to be doing? Quick play here. Okay, so here we have our character, and again, from Mix and Mo, like with all my tutorials, just to make it easy on me, and just got some animations from Mix and Mo. So again, if you want to follow along, maybe go grab a character off Mix and Mo, and some animations. You're going to want an idle animation like she's doing right now. You're going to want a movement animation like run or walk, like that, and you're going to want a roll animation, like a rolling forward animation for the dodging, like that. Okay, so either throw a character in you already got, or go grab one from Mixamo and some animations, specifically those three: idle, some kind of movement like running or walking, and a roll. And if you can't find the roll, just type in roll in the search in animations, and you'll get a bunch. And just try to get one that's uh, forward roll, like the way the character is facing. And you also want, just like the movements, you want it to be in place. All right. You don't want the animation to drive the character's movements. So for all the movements, running or walking and rolling, you want them all to be set to in place in Mixamo. All right. And that's what we're going to be doing. So in Diablo 3, if you're on a console and you're using a gamepad, this is basically what you get for movement. You get a camera that looks down at the player, kind of a top-down view angled, and she can dodge just like in Diablo 3. You can to get out of the way of stuff, and that's what we're doing. So let's get right into it, shall we? All right. So for starters, if you create a new project like I showed you, I just did, okay, in Unity 6 at least, you are going to get this input system actions already set up for you. Okay, by default, it's going to be there in your assets when you start the project. All right. If you're using an older version, well, I don't know what to tell you. You'd have to actually go into Window and the package manager and install the new input system if it's not installed, and then you would have to create this input system actions. And I'm not going to get into all that because, like I said, if you want to follow along, I'm using Unity 6 and it's already there. So, but you can, if you use an older version, you can, catch up by installing the new input system, creating this input system actions map, and once once you either create it or you're following along and you already have it. All right. The only thing you really need to do for it right now is to generate this C sharp class. Okay. So check this box and click apply, and you'll create this input actions class right here, C sharp script. And that's not there by default. You actually have to do that by checking this box and clicking apply, and it'll create this class. So you want to do that. All right. And then if we double click the input actions, the only thing you really need to add to it, this all the way down to here is default. Move to sprint is all default in there. But you need a dodge. Okay, so you want to click the new button right here, name it dodge. All right, and then under the binding, all right, do like I did for dodge and pick right stick gamepad. Okay, so for this binding, you would go to here and then gamepad and then find the right stick gamepad. Okay, so that would be right here. And because I already have a right stick, apparently it's not letting me pick it, but yeah, you want to find the right stick gamepad. So, right stick. So just click the right stick and you'll get it. All right, but we don't need this because I already did it, so get out of here. So once you create dodge, you want to make sure the action type is a value and the control type is a vector 2. All right. And then if you don't have a binding down there, just click plus and add the binding and make sure it's set to the right stick gamepad. All right. And that's the only thing you got to do for this is add that dodge. All right. As far as the camera, you can see the camera's following the player. All right. What I do is I create an empty game object by right-clicking, create empty, and then I named it cam stand. All right. And then the main camera, which is up here for you, just use the little hand, find a spot you like that's looking at the player that you like. Okay, all a matter of preference. Aim it down and up and get a view that you like. All right, and then right click on the main camera and go down and say align with view. All right. After you've done that, take the cam stand game object, empty game object you created, and copy the player's position, paste it into that. Not that it really matters because we're going to be moving it to the player anyway in code, but put it on the player's position anyway, and then drag the main camera onto it. Okay. This does not need to be attached to the player. It's going to be separate from the player. We're moving it in code to keep up with the player. All right. So you drag the main camera onto it as a child, and this way, the cam stand, if you're at the player position, like I told you should be, and you can do that by going to the player, clicking these dots, and copying the position, and then go to the cam stand, click those dots, and paste the position. Okay, and that'll put it at Maria's feet there. All right, so once you're at the player's position, then you drag in the main camera to the cam stand you created, and the cam stand will now be at the player's position, and the camera will be at the offset you set it to when you were dragging around to find a good spot. Okay, the camera will keep its offset after you drag it in. All right, and that's all you got to do there. As far as the player goes, all right, I created an animator component, all right, and then I created a new animator controller for it, and that animator is right here. Okay, so in here, I added the 3 animations I got from Mixamo: the idle animation, the run animation, and the roll animation. All right. And also in the animator, you want to click the plus symbol under the parameters tab and create a new float called speed. And name it just like this, lowercase s, speed. Okay. Now, for the transitions between idle and run, we're going to be using the player speed for that. And in the code, it's going to set this float variable speed to the player's speed. So that way the animator knows if the player's moving or not and can transition accordingly. All right. So you start off at idle. All right. And then we get rid of the has exit time on the idle's transition to run. Get rid of the has exit time. And then under conditions, we click plus and set it to the speed is greater than 0.1. Okay, the speed variable we created. If it's greater than 0.1, transition to the movement animation, which is run. And in run, its transition, we get rid of the has exit time, and we set the speed if it's less than 0.1, go back to idle. Okay, so that's how we transition from run to idle, and we're going to do it in code. And you'll see that in a second. The roll, though, all right. Now, if you notice the run, the speed is 1. The idle, the speed is 1. That works fine for the run and the idle. But the roll, for this case, it was a little too slow. So I moved it up to 3, the speed of the roll animation. All right. And then in its transition, we do not need a parameter, all right, a condition down here, and we leave the has exit time. So we'll roll until the animation is done, and then we transition back to idle. All right, so that's the animator. All right. And then, like I said, on the player, that's the all you do is you add your animator controller to the animator component, and your animator controller has those animations in it. All right. Then you add a character controller component. If you don't know how to do this, you click Add Component, type in CH, and Character Controller will come right up. Double click it, and you'll get the Character Controller component right here. All this is default the way it came. You don't have to change anything except the center. Okay. So I changed my center from 0 to 1 because these were all 0 at first. All right. And I'll show you why. If I go back to 0 and I click play, okay, you will notice that you see her shadow on the ground down here. She is in the air. Okay. She is not on the ground. So that is because this Y starts at 0. So I set it to 1. Okay. And then we go back in and play it. And you'll see that she is now on the ground. Her feet match the feet of the shadow. She's on the ground. Okay, so that's all you really got to do. And actually, I might even slow that down, maybe to 2 or 2.5, but that's pretty close to what it should be for like Diablo 3. But anyway, that's what I did for. That's the only thing I changed. It's not default. Is I changed the center's Y from 0 to 1. Everything else is default the way it comes on the character controller. And then lastly, we have the player movement script. Okay, so I created a folder named code, and then I created this script called player movement. All right, and I dragged it onto the player. Dragged it over here. Now, all these variables and stuff you'll see in the code in a second. The only thing is this cam stand. All right, it's a public transform in the code, and it's a reference to the cam stand we made here. That's the empty game object parenting the main camera. Okay, so this is a public reference to it. I dragged it into there. Okay, just like this. Ooh, and dropped it right there. All right, now let's take a look at that code. All right, we'll go over this real quick, but for your ease, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all this code and I'm going to paste it down into the first comment. So all you have to do is go grab it, copy it, and then create your player movement mono behavior script. Okay, named just this way, player movement, capital P, capital M, keep it all case sensitive, player movement. And then once you create that, go into it and paste this code in there, and this will work for you. This should just work out of the box. All right. So this code that I'm going to have pasted into the first comment. All right, we're using Unity Engine and the Unity Engine input system. All right, we've got a required component type of character controller, and this just will add one if there is none, but it'll go to the one we have if there is one. All right, which you kind of need to have one before, but this is just a backup because, like I said, you want that center Y to be 0. So you have to have one in there to change it, really, unless you're going to change it in code if you're creating it in code. But anyway, public class, player movement, it's mono behavior. We've got a move speed, private float. That's a serialized field, so we can change it in the inspector, set to 5. And then we have a private input system actions, and it's input actions, we call it. And that's for the script, the CS class that you create by checking the box and clicking apply. And then we've got a private vector tube for move input, a private character controller we call controller, a private animator we call animator, 2 serialized fields for the gravity. Okay, they're both floats. One is for the normal gravity because by default the character controllers don't come with gravity, so you have to kind of put it in yourself. So we got a private float for gravity, and we equal it to what gravity should be, minus 9.81. And then we've got one for grounded gravity, which means we're using a bool called grounded, and well, the character controller has this bool called grounded. It's not in the code. And if you're grounded, if you're on the ground, then what we do is we change the gravity to minus 2 instead of minus almost 10 because it's just a slighter push to the ground to keep it grounded if you're already on the ground. And if you're in the air, like if you're going to put jumping in this, then it goes back to gravity, minus 9.81. So that's what that is. If you're on the ground, it just slightly pushes you back to the ground with a minus 2. Then we got a private vector 3 called velocity. The public transform cam stand, and this is what I showed you in the inspector that you drag that cam stand object into. It's a transform, not a game object, because all we're doing is setting its position to the player's position. And if you make it a transform instead of a game object, it's just a tiny bit less code to place it there. Okay, then we got 3 serialized floats, private for dodge distance, dodge duration, and dodge cooldown, because you definitely want a cooldown because you don't want it just automatically dodging and rolling constantly if you're holding down the right stick in a direction. So, dodge cooldown. And then, private bool is dodging, set at the defaults at first. Private float, dodge timer, set to 0. And then that way it can time the cooldown. All right, vector 3 for dodge direction, so that will be whatever direction you're pushing the right gamepad stick to. Last dodge time, minus 999. Movement enabled equals true. Okay. And this is important because what we do is we stop the movement, the normal player movement with the left stick, because you move around with the left stick. Okay, the player will move in whatever direction you're pointing the left stick at. And we need to stop that movement when you're rolling and dodging. Okay, so that's what movement enabled is for, and it starts off as true. Then in awake, we get input actions, which we named up here, and set it equal to new input system actions. Okay, so it finds that script. Then controller equals get component, character controller. Animator equals get component in children, animator. And this could be just get component because it's right on the player, but this works too. All right. And then for the dodge, what we're doing is we're setting the code in awake. All right. And that's kind of event-based input actions. And for the actual movement of the left stick, we're doing a polling, which is going to be in the update. So I mean, like with the new input system, there's two ways to track the movements. There's event based, and then there's polling. And we're going to keep the dodge event based. Okay, so input actions player.dodge.performed plus equals ctx equals greater than, and then here we say we get the stick input, which we defined as the right stick. You saw in the beginning in the input editor. And then we equal it to ctx.read the value vector2 of the right stick. And then we run a function called try dodge. Okay, and it's a stick input. And we say try dodge because if you're already dodging, it won't let you dodge again while you're dodging. Again, that's what I was saying before. You don't want to continuously dodge when the stick is pressed. So that's why I called it try dodge. Okay. So that's a function we'll get to in a second. Then we have private voids on enable and on disable. Input actions dot enable, input actions dot disable. All right. In the update. So now we're polling the regular movement. Okay, vector2 raw move equals input actions dot player dot move dot read value vector2. Okay. And then we respect the movement enabled flag we created. So move input equals movement enabled question mark raw move vector2 0. So what we're saying is if you can move, go ahead and move. If movement enabled is false, don't move with the left stick. Okay. And now we get the camera relative directions by two vector threes, cam forward and cam right, and we say equal to camera.main.transform.forward, camera.main.transform.right. Then we say both of those dot y is set to 0, kind of grounding it. Then we say both of those dot normalized. Okay, and what this does is that's what lets your player move in the direction you're pressing the stick. Okay, it's based on what the camera is looking at. Okay, the direction the camera is. So that's where the magic happens. That you can, if you press forward, you move forward. If you press backwards, you run backward. You know what I mean? It's because we're basing it off the camera's forward direction and it's right. And that's what that code does. And then we say if movement enabled does not equal true, move input equals vector2 0. We're stopping the movement from the left stick because obviously we're dodging if movement enabled does not equal true. Okay. Then after that, we calculate the movement relative to the camera. So vector3 move equals cam right times move input dot x plus camera forward times move input dot y. Then rotate the player to face the movement direction. All right. So if move does not equal vector3 0, so we're moving, transform dot forward equals move. And then we move the character. So the controller, which is the character controller, dot move times move speed times time dot delta time. All right, and this is just for the gravity. So if the controller is grounded, so if the character controller is telling it it's on the ground, okay, then we use the grounded gravity, which is -2. Else, we're in the air, like if you're jumping, but our character doesn't jump, then velocity.y plus equals gravity times time to the delta time. So if you're on the ground, we use grounded velocity. If you're in the air like you jumped, we're using regular gravity. Then controller.move velocity times time dot delta time. Down here, if is dodging. Okay, so that'll be set to true in the try to dodge function. So if is dodging, dodge timer plus equals time dot delta time. Float dodge speed equals dodge distance divided by dodge duration. Controller move dodge direction times dodge speed times time dot delta time. If dodge timer is greater than or equal to dodge duration, then is dodging equals false, and we set movement enabled back to true, so we can move again with the stick. And here we say cam stand dot position equals transform dot position. Now this is at the end of the update function here also, but it has to be here because we're using a return to skip any kind of movement from the left stick. So I added it here as well. Okay. And then the return. Obviously, if dodging equals true, return, don't do anything else. And then down here, we get a float current speed and equal it to move.magnitude times move speed. And we need that so that we can say animator.setFloat speed. And this is the speed float parameter we set in the animator earlier. All right, we set that float speed to current speed we just set here. That's how the animator knows if you're moving or not. And then again, camStand.position equals transform.position. And then down here, the try dodge, okay, it takes a parameter of vector2 input. If is dodging or time.delta time is less than last dodge time and plus dodge cooldown, return. If input.magnitude is less than 0.5, okay, so just like I said here, prevents accidental nudges. You know, you got to actually move the stick about halfway in the direction you want to dodge to for it to work. All right, then return. So if it's just a nudge, like 0.2 or 3, you didn't hit it by accident, it won't dodge automatically on you. Then movement enabled equals false. So we stop the left stick movement because we can dodge now. And then we set vector3 cam forward equals camera.main.transform.forward, vector3 cam right. So we're basically doing the same thing we did with movement, but we're doing it for the try dodge. Okay, so we ground it to 0 and normalize them. It's going to be forward and right for the main camera. Then dodge direction equals cam right times input x plus cam forward times input.y dot normalized. Okay, and then face in that direction, transform.forward equals dodge direction. Is dodging equals true. We set that is dodging boolean that I showed you up here to true. Set the dodge timer to 0, and then set last dodge time to the current time.time. Okay. And then down here, I just say animator.play roll, and that's the name I gave that animation inside the animator. You can see it's called roll. Lowercase R-O-L-L. Okay. So, in parentheses, I put lowercase R-O-L-L after animator.play. So that way it automatically plays the roll animation, and then once the roll animation is complete, all right, because you have as exit time, it'll go right back to idle. All right. So that's that. That's all of it. Okay. So just over 100 lines of code, and you got Diablo 3 gamepad movement plus the dodge roll. Okay. So let's see it one more time now that we've explained everything. Okay, so pushing up, pushing down, pushing right, pushing left. She goes in any direction that the axis tells her to on the left stick, and then she can dodge. Okay, and yeah, that's that. That is Diablo 3 console gamepad movement. So, yeah, if you liked it, then please hit the like button. This stuff is important because YouTube and its algorithms hate me. So, you know, if you like the videos you're seeing, please support the channel for free by clicking the like button. Okay. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. All right. And probably more important than a like button, please leave a comment. And I'm going to ask you to do this for me as a favor right now. As a favor to me, please leave a comment because comments really tell the algorithm that people are interested and it helps show these videos to more people. because right now YouTube just isn't doing that. So yeah, leave a comment and be honest. Say if you like it, it's cool, I like it, or if you don't like it, say, wow, that sucks, you suck. I don't care. Be honest. But please leave a comment either way. Even if it's a quick one, just leave a comment and say something about the video or the movement system, and you know, or really anything you want. Just leave a comment and do that as a favor to me. All right, and I really appreciate it. All right. And, to the subscribers I do have already, I want to say thank you. You guys rock. And, you're what keeps me going and making the videos. So, uh, yeah. So that's that. So, anyway, yeah. And you can leave a comment also and say what if you want to see more of this. This is the Diablo 3 gamepad movement. All right. But what if you want to see more than that? Well, what about the fighting and stuff? Because um, if there was like an enemy over here and an enemy over here, but this enemy was closer, and I pressed attack, she should target this enemy because it's closer and go attack him just by pushing the attack button without turning on your own. Okay? Because that's how Diablo 3 works. If there's, again, an enemy over here or over here, and there's one right here closer to her, she'll target that closest enemy just by pressing the attack button. So, you know, leave a comment and say if you want to see something like that, and we'll keep this going and add some combat in there too. All right, and we're still doing the other Diablo-like series, but again, I'm working on the inventory right now, and it's actually coming along really cool. But that's a lot. That's a lot of work for me. So I'm taking my time on that, and I haven't made a video in a while because of it. So I wanted to throw this out there because during some of my relaxing time, I was playing Diablo 3, and I said to myself, well, if I'm doing the Diablo-like series, maybe I can do a Diablo 3 kind of thing with movement because I really dig how the movement goes for Diablo 3 for the console with a gamepad. And just for fun, we can slow that animation down just a hair. So let's go back in here, go to roll. Let's say 2.5. Play it. Let's see how that looks because it does look just a tiny bit fast to me. All right, so yeah, that might actually be a little better. Okay, but anyway, that's this one. I feel we've covered everything. If I missed anything, let me know, and I will try to cover it. But I feel like we got everything. We discussed the input system, how to get the script. We discussed the player and all his components and how to put them on there. We discussed creating the cam stand and dragging the main camera down onto it once you find a position you like in the scene by moving the camera around with the hand. I feel like we did everything. Okay, and it's real easy. So again, I'm going to paste the code into the first comment. All you got to do is follow along, name everything properly that you got to name, and just paste it in, and you're good to go. So yeah. So with that said, until next time, peace out.